a look at it. You've got some playtime with it, and people need to be more antiseptic, I'll say, in their judgment of their products. If you get to that point and the product isn't very good, you need to cut your ties to it and move on.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because you should look into the development cycle of Redfall. We covered that last time I hosted for a gaming show, but since that game's come out and like is awful, devs have come out and said that like they knew this game was going to fail, but they had to release it anyway because you had to put something out, and it was like sunk cost fallacy where we spent all this time. We probably should cancel this game and rework it, but higher ups need us to release something, so here's what you get.
Well, and going back to one of my old favorites, Star Wars: The Old Republic, same thing. They spent almost 10 years of development on that, 6 of which was trying to build their own game engine before they realized they couldn't, and they wound up using a 10-year-old game engine to basically reskin the entire game for it. And then they released it, and within the first 6 months, they lost 50% of their subscribers because the game just wasn't up to what it was supposed to be. At some point in time, you need to have the sense to pull the plug on it.
Yeah.
And if you can do that and you have other projects that are in the works that are under development, you shift your resources to something that's more promising.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll, with all these layoffs, and maybe somebody will learn something from it, hopefully.
Yep.
But yeah, so any final thoughts? I feel like we've covered a lot of this. We've shared our opinions.
We've beaten the horse quite well here.
Well, I guess that's going to wrap things up for today. Thank you so much for listening. Before we head out, we've got some more show plugs for you. If you haven't
But the
already,
first set wasn't enough.
I know the plug's so nice we do them twice. If you haven't already subscribed, what are you doing? Pause this, go subscribe, come back, rewind it, play from the beginning. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, maybe Stitcher if it's still around, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Amazon, and of course, Pandora. If you have any comments or questions about today's show, email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. We're on Twitter. Some people call it X, insights_things. Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, that means you've got Twitch Prime, and we'd love to have that Prime sub over at twitch.tv/insightsintothings, where some of you may be watching us live stream right now. Facebook at facebook.com/insights.
Insightful podcasts by informative hosts. Insights into Things, a podcast network. Welcome to Insights into Tomorrow, where we take a deeper look into how the issues of today will impact the world of tomorrow. From politics and world news to media and technology, we discuss how today's headlines are becoming tomorrow's reality.
Welcome to Insights into Tomorrow. This is episode 22, No More Yesterdays. I'm your host, Joseph Whalen, and my informed and concerned co-host, Michelle Whalen.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing today, sweetheart?
Doing okay. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Anything exciting going on other than flip-flop of hosts on the shows recently?
No, I think we're all trying to get into the swing of things, I guess.
Indeed, we have kicked off our holiday with Thanksgiving and mad rush up until the end of December now.
Yeah. Now it's all downhill.
Yeah, pretty much. So, economic turmoil fueling nationalist sentiments alongside the dangerous tendency of scapegoating minorities. The Nazi regime's systematic state-sponsored anti-Semitism and its sophisticated propaganda machine present a stark contrast to today's more decentralized, internet-driven spread of anti-Semitic ideology. And I thought this was kind of poignant because we have had for several years now in the United States, one entire political movement that focuses on the past. You know, this whole idea of make America great again, but they never tell you when they're referring to.
Right.
And the time that they're referring to goes back to some of these darker days during a time period of exclusion, of civil rights not being a priority, of individual rights not being a priority. And the people that want to go back to that time are the ones who were in power and advantaged at that time. And that was a very small number of people at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you have a large segment of the population pushing for that now and completely ignoring the parallels that they're shooting for now compared to what happened in the 1930s and 40s with the rise of other nationalist movements, socialism and fascism, is disturbing. And that's why I titled this podcast No More Yesterdays. You know, we don't want to go back. We've, over the last 100 years, we as a country, we as a civilization, and the human race in general have evolved considerably in that time. And there's a segment of the population who desperately wants to drag us back to those dark times. So we're going to take a look at some of the comparisons on that and offer some inside looks at what it was like then, what it is today, and hopefully have enough wisdom to not go down that dark path again. But before we do that, though, I want to take a moment to remind our listening and viewing audience to, if you don't already do so, subscribe to the podcast. You can find audio versions of this podcast listed as Insights into Tomorrow. You can also find audio and video versions of all the network's podcasts listed as Insights into Things, pretty much anywhere you can get a podcast these days. I would also invite you to write in, give us your feedback, disagree with us, tell me your point of view. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can find us on X at insights_things.